Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. It's Friday, July 3rd. I'm Sarith Hawk. The U.S. Catholic Church has been vocal in its support of the humane treatment of immigrants as the issue takes center stage in the Trump administration.
If someone is detained, we're here to be of service to them, to their children, their families.
Coming up, we speak with the bishop from the Catholic Diocese of Fresno about the role of the church in the immigration debate. But first, these news headlines. California is wrapping up its ballot counting process a month after the June primary election. Preliminary figures from the Secretary of State's office show voter turnout reached just over 40%. The number is a far cry from the 70% voter turnout seen in the 1970s. California has tried to boost voter turnout, including by pushing vote by mail. Experts say the changes have not yielded significant improvement, but have resulted in a slower counting process. To mark America's 250th birthday this weekend, U.S. states and territories are putting together a time capsule that'll be buried outside Independence Hall in Philadelphia on July 4th. Here's CalMatters' Robert Meeks with a rundown of the 7 items California's contributing.
First, a letter from Governor Gavin Newsom and first partner Jennifer Siebel Newsom to the future governor and first partner of 2276. Number 2, a speculative prediction of California 2276 from the large language learning model Claude. Among some of its speculations, Claude describes a future California with a new language born out of its diversity and, wait for it, a Pacific secession. Number 3, the time capsule will get a qubit chip from the University of California, Berkeley. Number 4, a fusion conductor segment built by General Atomics in San Diego that's part of a worldwide fusion experiment aimed at creating clean, renewable energy. Number 5, California's $1 American innovation coin featuring Apple co-founder Steve Jobs. Number 6, a copy of the poem My California by the state's poet laureate, Lee Herrick. Number 7, a NASA photo of California from space. And that's it.
CalMatters' Robert Meeks reporting. Of course, America's 250th birthday celebration does call for special music tributes, and one of the performances in the nation's capital this weekend will come from the Valley. KVPR's Crescencio Rodriguez Delgado reports.
The Music Masters America 250 concert in D.C. will be held Friday evening at the historic 100-year-old Warner Theater, about a mile from the White House. The show will celebrate America's birthday with 3 orchestras from around the country, from Ohio, New Mexico, and California. The College of the Sequoias in Visalia will represent the Golden State.
Just a lot of excitement, a little bit of nervous energy, but I think for the most part, they're feeling really good.
That's Michael Tackett. He's the director of bands at College of the Sequoias. He says planning for the trip began almost a year ago.
Obviously, it costs a lot of money to go and do something like this, to travel with such a large group. So we've had to do, quite a bit of fundraising.
This large group consists of 53 band members with the cost of about $2,500 per person for the trip. The group is performing under the name Symphonic Winds. For KVPR News, I'm Crescencio Rodriguez Delgado.
The Fresno Police Department released new numbers yesterday that show crime is down so far this year. That's a decrease in violent crime and property crime. One of their efforts to reduce violence was aimed at kids and teens this summer. The department started enforcing a curfew about 3 weeks ago. It affects those under 18 from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Lieutenant Larry Boland says the department has contacted more than 200 teens since the curfew has been in place, returning them to their parents.
What we're doing is looking out for the safety of all of these minors. The reality of it is a lot of times their parents or guardians don't know exactly where they're at and may make an assumption that they're actually inside of a location and not out in the general public.
Fresno police say this is part of its summer crime suppression operation.
Support for Central Valley Daily comes from the members of KVPR. Join at $8 or more per month and access ad-free NPR podcasts through NPR Plus. Give now at kvpr.org/donate.
And now to our main story. The United States is celebrating its 250th anniversary this July 4th holiday, and with it come many reflections about where the country once was, where it is today, and where it's going tomorrow. One sure part of those stories is the nation's legacy of faith and immigration. That is as relevant today as ever, with sweeping policy changes to immigration coming from the federal government. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops is also seizing an opportunity for dialogue on this issue, which affects many parishioners across the country. Last November, the bishops issued a rare special message during their fall conference in Baltimore, where they expressed concern about the country's treatment of immigrants. The bishops said they were disturbed by the climate of fear and anxiety in the U.S. Today, we're revisiting a conversation with KVPR's Elizabeth Arkalian and Bishop Joseph Brennan of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Fresno, who was at that fall conference. The Diocese of Fresno serves more than 1 million Catholics. Elizabeth spoke with Bishop Brennan just after traditional celebrations last December. At the time, Brennan said parishes had seen a diminished number of people at the events. Some likely stayed home out of fear. Bishop Brennan starts this conversation by talking about what the role of the church is when confronting the immigration issue.
Well, a major role is, and it sounds nebulous, but it's really important, is accompaniment. It is being with the people, letting them know we're here for them. We're here to help. We're here to support. If someone is detained, we're here to be of service to them, to their children, their families. We have the ways and the means to do that just from our parish standpoint. We have 87 locations that are willing and able to help because we have people who are vulnerable in every one of those locations. There are families, there are children with moms and dads that may not be documented and so are at risk. So we're there.
And faith is certainly something people cling to in trying times. I'm curious how this has influenced your role as bishop, sort of responsible for such a vast amount of people, and just, I would think in your role, sort of leading by example in terms of,
Well, of course, it's being a spokesman for all of that and a spokesman for all of them. Now, they have their own voice, but sometimes they can't voice it because it is that running of a kind of a risk for them. I don't have that risk, so I can, take some liberties with that and do something like this, like what we're doing right here at this very moment. So, yes, it goes beyond accompaniment to real advocacy and sometimes, whenever possible, intervention or direct help, for example, through our Catholic Charities Immigration Service and just our own pastors, my priests and my deacons, the clergy. They're pretty incredible. And you know what? A number of them started out undocumented. They're documented now. Just want to, in case somebody's listening.
Yeah, sure.
But started out undocumented and are just phenomenal, incredible ministers to the people, serving the people, serving on the outlying areas, underserved areas, and phenomenal workers for these people.
In November, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops gathered and issued this statement, specifically expressing concern for immigrants in the U.S. And in the statement, you and over 200 U.S. Catholic bishops said they, quote, oppose the indiscriminate mass deportation of people, adding that, quote, we pray for an end to dehumanizing rhetoric and violence, whether directed at immigrants or at law enforcement. That statement just really kind of toes that line between the rule of law, but also showing compassion for groups caught up in this enforcement. I'd just love if you could break down for us what that stance really means.
Well, precisely because this issue is not only a legal issue. It's a moral issue. It's a human issue. So the rights and the privileges and the dignity of everyone involved. That's why it's an extraordinary little statement, and just a little inside baseball. That particular statement, I'm glad you quoted it, because that was not a bone of contention, but it was tweaked at essentially the 11th hour in a beautiful way. Yeah. And I think to not demonize anyone in this, because we, with our own proclivities, our own belief systems, our own ideologies, we tend to do that. And we're human. We're entitled to our humanity, but our humanity sometimes gets in the way of solutions and really helping people. So I loved this statement that demonized neither, certainly the undocumented, but neither, some of these men and women who are being tasked with being in, sweeps and being part of what appears to be mass deportation or attempts to do that. So, yeah, we're opposed to mass deportation, not all deportation. There are times when it's morally acceptable and, in fact, even necessary for, some bad elements that are dangerous to themselves, to others, and to the society at large.
Realistically, in your line of work, if an immigration officer comes knocking at a church door and there's someone without legal status, what is the responsibility of the church?
Well, I think the responsibility of the church is to politely ask them not to enter the church, because it is a special place. We would call it sacred space. We would call it, traditionally, centuries-long tradition of sanctuary. There's literally a sanctuary in every single church where the liturgical action is centered and focused. But in a sense, the whole church itself is a sanctuary for those who are, and it ought not to be violated. They can present a warrant. We can encourage the person who's being sought to please cooperate, collaborate, but we're not going to allow them to interfere with that sacred space.
Would a church, I'm just wondering in this hypothetical, would a church even really know someone's legal status necessarily?
No, we never ask that. We never insist on it. You don't even have to be a card-carrying Catholic to come through the doors. You just come in.
Not all Christian faith leaders have been as outspoken on immigration actions by the Trump administration. What is it about the Catholic Christian faith that makes immigration just such a central issue?
Well, I think it's our Christian anthropology, who we are, sons and daughters of a God who loves us. And the core of really the dignity of the human person that you see woven throughout Catholic social teaching. And it's scriptural based, which we share with our brothers and sisters, but we don't always share the same take on issues like this. But it's born from our Catholic social teaching based on scripture, based on tradition. And it's our nature, Christian anthropology, and emphasis on the dignity of the human person and the fundamental option for the poor.
That was KVPR's Elizabeth Arkalian speaking with Bishop Joseph Brennan of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Fresno about the issue of immigration. And that's today's show. From all of us at KVPR, we want to wish you a safe and fun July 4th holiday weekend, and we want to wish the U.S. a very happy 250th birthday. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden, Elizabeth Arkalian, Crescencio Rodriguez Delgado, and KVPR, with support from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. I'm Sarith Hawk. Find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
Each story you hear on Planet Money starts with a question. What happens if we refund tariffs? Why are groceries so expensive? At NPR, we stand for your right to be curious, because the forces shaping our world can be hard to see. Follow NPR's Planet Money wherever you get your podcasts and start seeing how the economy really works.